Right, let's all play. Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're basically going to talk about chords some more. We've gone through diatonic chords, we've gone through some 4-note chords. Today I'm just going to go through 4 different chords that are just perhaps what I think are the most common other chords that we've got. So this video is going to be those, and then next time I'm going to talk about some more unusual ones and also slash chords. But for today it's going to be basically just 4 chords. So we're going to talk about why they're called that and what notes are in them. Basically, there's not much else to say about chords, is there? So today we're going to talk about, sorry, I don't know why I'm out of breath slightly, because today we're going to talk about power chords or 5 chords. We're going to talk about sus2 and sus4, and then we're going to talk about 9 chords. So that's it really. Hopefully, it's all, I always say this, hopefully it'll be a nice quick lesson, and we'll basically just break down each of those chords, talk about them, and that's it really. So let's just do that. Okay, cool. Well, that pretty much sums it up. So let's start by talking about power chords. Now, I suspect you've all played power chords at some point, so hopefully it won't take too long to explain how to play them, and then we'll go and talk about what they actually are. So there's a couple of different ways. You can play open ones like this E. You can even play them with 2 or 3 strings. You could probably even do an extra string if you really wanted to. Or another. Not that you ever probably would. You can also do this shape here, or on this string, and again you can do 2 or 3. Those are the main ones. As you can see, you can also do these kind of shapes as well. Don't think I could stretch far enough for that one. Almost. Anyway, so that's how we play different power chords. As I said, I suspect you're all probably used to that. Open ones or those ones. Okay, so basically what is a power chord? It is 2 notes. So it's the only chord we've talked about so far that is only 2 notes. It is the root, okay, so in this case if I take G, because that's what we've been working in predominantly, and then I'm going to take the 5th note in the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is this 5th fret on the A string, which is a D note. I'll play those 2, and that's a power chord. That's literally all it is. It's the root note and the 5. Okay, you can also, the 3rd note on top is just the root again, so that's another G, so G, D, G. So you can stretch and get the end, that's a G, that's a D, sorry. So it goes G, D, G, D. Yeah, so that's it really. It's root and 5, and then you can stack any number of those notes on top of each other, still the same chord. So that's also why you'll see them called 5s. Get my words out there. That's why you also see them called 5s or power chords. You'd usually see them written properly with a 5, and that's why, because it's the root and the 5. So if you ever want to find a specific power chord shape, all you need to do is find the right note along whichever string you want to play it along, and then find the 5th note in that scale. So for example, if I wanted to play a C power chord, I'd found my C note and find the 5th note in the scale and play those 2 notes. That's it really. That's all a power chord is. Because of the way power chords work, and they're only 2 notes, they don't have any 3rd in. They don't have a major 3rd or a minor 3rd, which is we've talked about quite a lot before. So they don't have a happy or sad sound, which is one reason why they're called power chords, because they just kind of go bam, you know? There's no happy, there's no sad, it's just bam in your face. And so that means they can really be used as a substitute for major or minor chords. It's not specifically one or the other. So if you see a power chord, it doesn't mean that the chord they're suggesting is major or minor. I mean, it's probably going to be suggested by the melody line, but not necessarily by the power chord itself. So it's just something to bear in mind. Very useful if you can play power chords but you can't play bar chords, because you can substitute power chords in. It won't sound exactly the same at all. It won't say exactly the same, that's what I mean. But it gives you at least a flavour of that chord, because it gives you the 2 of the 3 notes you'd have. So for example, if I wanted to play G minor, it's 3 notes. So that G, that D, and then that B flat, which is actually here. If I played a power chord, it still gives me the flavour of that chord. But obviously you can hear it's a different sound, but that's just something you can try if you can't do bar chords, yeah. Also, it's a great practice for bar chords, that shape, because it's very, very similar. There's my power chord, there's my bar chord. Yeah, hardly any difference. Yeah, so really, really useful chord, really, really common chord, very, very simple to play. Just 2 notes. The real trick is just muting all the other strings. That's the real tricky bit when you're playing them. But that's why they're called power chords, because there's no major or minor, so they're not happy or sad. They just go bam. And they're also called 5 chords because the only other note in it is a 5 note. And so basically, that's power chords. So the next 2 we're going to talk about together. And they're suspended chords. So you can get sus2 or suspended seconds or sus4, suspended fourths. So what does that mean? Okay, so basically what that means practically, I'll just show you a couple of the shapes. These are the really common ones, the A shape. So there's A sus2 and A sus4. And then you can also do an E sus4 up here. E sus2 is more difficult. So those are the really common shapes that you'll see as movable shapes. Sus4, sus2, and then that sus4 shape there. Beautiful sound, I love it. I love a sus2 there, look at that. Then the sus4. Okay, so those are 3 shapes, movable shapes. Do it as C or G. Okay, so those are the 3 shapes I'd use most for those sus chords. You can take a sus and add another note, so you can have a sus4, 7 sus4. So for example, G7 sus4. Oh, do it right, Paul. There we go. There's G7, there's my sus4. G7 sus4. Okay, so just so you know, it's not just those 3, you know, sus2, sus4, and then another sus4 shape. You can have, as I say, 7 sus4, and anything really. You can have a 9 sus4, etc., etc. Not anything, but a lot of things. But the common one is just the sus on their own. So what do they mean? Suspended. So what suspended means is, again, like we talked about with the power chords, there's no major or minor, so there's no happy or sad note. And what's the number is, it tells us what note we add in instead of the major or minor note. So we take out the third, so we take out major third or a minor third, it doesn't matter, just we take that third out. And for a sus2 we add the 2nd note in the scale, and for a sus4 we add the 4th note in the scale. So in A, here's my A. And I've got this note here, this is an A major, so I've got a C sharp note down here. So for a sus2, all I have to do is take the C sharp note out and instead replace it with the 2nd note in the scale, which is a B note. So I do that by just taking my finger off, that's a nice easy one, and then I've got sus2. Okay, and with sus4 it's the same idea, but instead of adding in the 2nd note in the scale, we add the 4th note in the scale D, which is my 3rd fret here. So effectively, the notes that are in a sus2 are root, so in this case A, it's an A there, and the G string's an A. Then we've got the 5th note, like we had in the power chord, which in this case is an E, so we've got an E here, D string's an E, and the open E's an E. And then the 2nd note in the scale, a B, which is the open B string. And with a sus4, it's the same idea, but we add in a D note instead of a B note. So we've got A, we've got E, and we've got D. And that really cool sus4 sound. So that's basically all sus chords are. So they're suspended, so there's no major or minor. And then all we do for a sus2 is we add in the 2nd note, so it's like a power chord, but we add in the 2nd note in the scale. And then for a sus4, we add in the 4th note in the scale. So yeah, really simple conceptually once you get your head around that, which some people will find easy and some people will not find as easy, as is the way with music theory. A little bit harder to say that you can just substitute one for its other, because it doesn't quite work like that. They have such a distinctive sound, but it's worth having a play around with them. If you like that sound, give it a go. D sus4 is another common one you see. Sus2 there. So there's lots of other ways of playing them. Obviously I just went through the 3, but yeah, very, very distinctive sound. So hopefully that makes sense. So now if you see a sus2 chord, you know the 3 notes that make it up: root, 2, 5, and a sus4 is root, 4, 5. Okay. And that's it really with sus chords. As I say, a little bit harder for substitutions, but really cool to have a little bit of a play around with. Try the different shapes, as I say, A, is probably the most common one you see. Then you've got that E shape, which is cool. And then, as I say, the D shape as well as just an extra thing to have a little go at. Maybe that is more common than the A. I don't know, I always think of the A one first. Anyway, I'm digressing, I'm mumbling, so I'll let you decide on that. So let's move on to the final chord. Okay, one of my favourite chords, a 9 chord. Really cool, funky sound, okay? So what notes are in a 9 chord? Oh no, first let's do the shape. So there's the shape. There are other shapes of 9, but this is the one I like to use because I think it sounds the best. This is my root, so I'm playing C9. So that's 3rd fret on the A string. Then I've got the major 3rd, which is 2nd fret on the D. Then I'm going to play the 3rd fret on the G, the B and the E. Now you can just get away with the G and the B, like that, that's a 9. But I like to grab that E string as well. Get that extra note in there, it sounds super cool. So there's my 9 chord. I'm flattening my 3rd finger to grab all of those. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. So, as I've said, it's a major note because it's got a major 3rd in it. So what are the notes in it? We've got root, as I said, major 3rd. In this particular shape, the next note is the flat 7. So we've got a flat 7. Then we've got a 9 or a 2nd. It's 9 just means an octave higher. So there's my root, there's my 9. It's an octave higher. And then this note at the bottom here, this is a G note, which is the 5. So we've got the 5 as well. So basically it's root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, flat 7 and 9. Those are the notes that make up a 9 chord. Now this can be substituted for a dominant 7. You'll often hear you can hear a blues that follows the progression, you know, with 9s. With that kind of thing going on, you might find the funkiness, like Play That Funky Music is most of these. Where's it? E, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah, so really, really cool funky sound. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's what a 9 chord is. You will sometimes just see that grabbing that top part of it, which doesn't fully suggest a 9 chord, but quite often if your bass player or keyboardist or something is playing other notes, it sounds like a 9 chord, but that's the proper shape. Either that with 2 fingers or that with 3. Really cool funky sound. You can use it for the dominant 7 chord. You can just substitute it as a straight substitution. Often sounds pretty cool, but it does sound different. So there's my dominant 7. If I play a C dominant 7, or just a C7, and there's my 9. Yeah, but it is a fair substitution to do, so something to have a little bit of go at. Love that funky chord. A lot of people will see 9s and be scared off them. There's nothing to be scared. They're really, really cool. And that's basically what they are. So it's the root note, that major 3rd, the perfect 5th, so just a major triad, a major chord as we've had before. Then we tack on the flat 7 like we've got a dominant 7 chord, but then on top, an extra note is that 9 note on top. So it's a dominant 7 effectively with a 9 note on top. Really, really, really cool sound. So to recap, basically, as I keep saying, and I'm trying to hammer home, you know, the name of the chord tells me what notes are in it. So we had the first one was the power chord or a 5 chord, so it tells me root 5. Then we've got the sus2 and sus4. So sus2 tells me, okay, there's no 3rd in it and it's got a 2nd instead. So root 2nd 5th. Sus4, same idea, but a 4th instead of a 3rd. So root 4th 5th. Sorry, 4th instead of a 2nd and instead of a 3rd. You know what I mean. Root 4th 5th. And then we've got the 9 chord, which tells me that it must be a dominant 7 chord with a 9 on top. So it's going to be root, major 3rd, 5th, flat 7, 9. Okay, so as I say, next time we'll do some more chords. Yeah, let's just go to my head. So let's do that. Cool, well, I'm much warmer than when I started recording this, so that's all good. Anyway, so that's the video basically. As I said before, right at the beginning, it's just those 4 chords. That's what I really want to talk about. Hopefully those are the most common chords that you'll find, other than major and minor, and then that minor 7, dominant 7 and major 7 that we talked about before. If there's any other chords you want me to go on about, please, you know, put the link in the description. When I record my next video, I will talk about more chords, so they might crop up there. But if there's any particular you want me to explain or anything, just put it down below, and I might just put them into the next video, or just answer it there and then like that. So anyway, let's do my usual spiel at the end. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and found it useful as well. That's the point of these lessons basically. And I will say, if you did like the video, please like the video. It really helps. Please comment on the video as well. Again, that really helps. And please subscribe to the channel. And I do have a Patreon. If you want to check that out and support me more, then I'd be really appreciative of that as well. Yeah, so what I'd say is I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.